Welcome back to even more underrated old Minecraft mods you forgot about, where I showcase some of the most underrated and discontinued Minecraft mods in Minecraft history. I've already done a part 1 and part 2 of this video, so if you haven't checked those out for even more nostalgic goodness, definitely do that first. This is part 3 of old nostalgic Minecraft mods that you may have forgotten about. Perhaps one of the most interesting mod stories in Minecraft history is the story of the Orespawn mod. Orespawn was originally made for version 1.7 and was one of the most popular Minecraft mods out there from 2013 to 2016. Plenty of YouTubers were covering and making gameplay videos of Orespawn, and this helped fuel the fire. And well, for good reason too. The mod is super extensive, adding dozens of new gameplay features like tons of new weapons, mobs, and bosses for an incredibly varied experience and tons of new things to work toward in Minecraft. However, things took a huge turn for the worst when the mod's creator, They Call Me Danger, or just Danger, decided to cash in on this popularity, telling gullible users that he needed money to port the mod to the latest Minecraft version, which at that time was version 1.12. However, not only is this just, well, kind of a dick move, but it's also directly in violation of Minecraft's EULA, saying third-party mod developers cannot monetize their mods in this way. This caused the mod to be halted, yet this was only the tip of the iceberg. Danger went completely haywire, attempting to pull the mod from the internet entirely, attacking and Discord raiding anyone who talked bad about him while citing free speech, and some weird campaign called Fight Back, and, well, plastering his opinions all over the Orespawn website, which is still up. This is a very long-winded story that we could spend hours on, and lots of good content has been made covering it that I'd recommend you check out. It's sad, honestly, as the potential of Orespawn was squashed by a guy who clearly has an incredibly fragile ego and used the platform he received for the wrong things. On to the lighter mod stories. The next one is called MC Heli, a vehicle mod released around 1.7. It is essentially identical to Flan's mod, which I covered in the last episode, featuring a plethora of player-made assets you can pull into your game. However, unlike Flan's mod, MC Heli focuses purely on planes and helicopters and other flying-related things. In the mod, you can make a drafting table that gives you the recipe for any and all vehicles to craft depending on the assets you have loaded in. It has a really impressive UI, and I love how it hand sketches the vehicle when you have it selected. Like Flan's mod, MC Heli has full multiplayer support and will load in any server assets to you locally. In my opinion, and no disrespect to the Hall of Famer Flan, the MC Heli vehicles look and feel way better, and the turret type weapons are unmatched in any other mod I've ever seen. Sadly though, this mod was discontinued for unknown reasons. If I had to guess though, the major issue was communication, as the original mod developer only speaks Japanese, which can be difficult when the vast majority of the Minecraft population uses English as the common language. There is a guy though, Furaneku, who speaks both English and Japanese and serves as a sort of liaison for the mod. On the CurseForge page written by Furaneku, there is some evident frustration of getting spammed with questions about the mod ever being upgraded to 1.12, which unfortunately, and I wasn't able to find out why, it never was. Which is sad because even though it had immense competition with the more popular Flan's mod, it was amazing in a lot of its own ways. Another incredible mod that was lost to the 1.7 barrier was Witchery. Witchery was originally released for Forge in version 1.6.4. As its name suggests, it adds all things witchcraft related to Minecraft, functional cauldrons, broomsticks, new potions, necromancy, etc. This mod was made popular by Mischief of Mice, a longtime YouTuber who still makes Minecraft content to this day. I gotta say though, I love the whimsical and mystical additions to Minecraft so much, and what's great about Witchery specifically is it doesn't unbalance the game too much like other content edition focused mods. There are no overpowered weapons, armor, or items, just tools to make the experience a little bit more magical. It's also very garden, plant, and farm focused, which as a green thumb in real life, I love. What makes it even more impressive too is that the developer Millenaire created an entire Witchery wiki that teaches you the ins and outs. Sadly though, version 1.7.10, April 12th, 2015 would be the last time we ever heard from the developer and the Witchery mod as a whole, and MNF has kept the source code closed after all of these years, holding a tight rein on their creation, despite many requests by other developers to keep it alive. There are a couple fan-made recreations, like Witchery re-witched for 1.16, but nothing will capture the original feel of the first, in my opinion. On the topic of magic and mysticism, the next mod is Electroblob's Wizardry. This one was extremely popular, but still underrated. As the name suggests, it adds wizard-related things to Minecraft, like spells, wands, scrolls, and crystals. What's crazy is that there is 188 unique spells in the mod, each one doing their own different things. I can't even come up with what to eat for dinner every night, yet Electroblob is over here coming up with 188 different spells in Minecraft. What I really love about it though is that there isn't really any crazy crafting mechanics or learning curve at all. Pretty much everything you get out of the Wizardry mod is done via exploration, finding lost spells and treasure scattered across Minecraft, which at the time of its peak popularity, Minecraft was just scratching the surface of focusing on exploration like we have today, with things like smithing templates and dozens of generated structures. So to have a mod essentially force you to get out and explore was a pretty fresh take on the game, and everything is laid out to you in the mod as well, utilizing the Wizard's Handbook to start out. Once you have that, you have everything you need to know to get started and progress, rather than relying on external sources or wikis for information. I always love me an in-game guide. There is a ton of content out there, and Electroblob's Wizardry was covered and let's played immensely by some fairly big creators at the time. It lasted from versions 1.7 to 1.12, the arguable golden ages of Minecraft modding, before Electroblob stopped updating it for good. However, there is a fan-made modern version port being created as we speak, and last I checked, that project is still seeking volunteers. So if you're passionate about the nostalgia of Electroblob's Wizardry and know a thing or two about mod porting, definitely look into that. When you think of mods that add new dimensions to Minecraft, you probably think of the Aether mod or Twilight Forest. Probably the third most popular of the bunch, we have Tropicraft. Tropicraft adds a brand new tropical dimension to Minecraft, featuring huge new biomes like rainforests and beaches and massive oceans, as well as tropical and oasis-like blocks and items and mobs. Now, this one may not fit the bill, similar to Twilight Forest from Forgotten Mods 2, because it's actually still being actively updated to this day, making it one of the longest running mods in history. However, it has definitely fallen out of the major spotlight in recent years, but despite that, is going strong. It was originally released in 2011 by developer KojoMax99, who got inspiration after going on a tropical vacation himself and realizing Minecraft needed something like that. The mod was thrust into popularity when it was covered by old Minecraft YouTube legends such as Chimney Swift 11 and popular MMOs. And it's wholesome too. Since 2017, the mod developers have been raising money for various great charities and have raised over 200,000 USD to date. After being updated for literally 13 years now, Tropicraft will go down in the Minecraft Hall of Fame as one of the most extensive, polished, and well-respected mods ever made. Now that we're halfway through the video, reminder that I make tons of content just like this, so if you love nostalgia and reliving the golden days of Minecraft, please consider subscribing. And on the note of new dimensions, the next one is the dimensional mod that was a bit more obscure than the Aether or Twilight Forest or Tropicraft. This was the Invasion mod. The Invasion mod would randomly spawn a meteor with quite possibly one of the coolest animations in Minecraft history that crashed into your world and spawned a portal that would start infinitely spawning hordes of zombies. The AI of these zombies was incredibly impressive, featuring one called the Zombie Miner that, if landing in an inaccessible spot in the world, would literally create a path for the rest of the zombie warriors to get out. Not only this, but like IRL ants, they would stack themselves up to try and reach the player. Now, the only way to close the portal and stop the invasion of your world, you have to brave the aforementioned portal and the invasion dimension. This reminds me of closing the Oblivion gates or something. In the invasion dimension, you have to kill a boss called the Block Wielder. Not only this, but it added a sweet new item called the Particle Glove that allowed you to harvest particles for different effects, like redstone particles to attack, or water particles to literally launch yourself into the air. Invasion was released in 1.7, and like the other mods on this list, sadly never left 1.12. This list is slowly just becoming a 1.7 time capsule. There have been many mods created since then in the Invasion genre, but it grew stale after the shockingly polished version of the first. Capitalizing on one of the highest grossing movies in history, despite being pretty universally recognized as bad, Transformers 4. The next on the list is the Transformers mod. This was released just a few weeks after the movie in August of 2014 for the legendary Minecraft version 1.7.10. And if you can guess, it was a shape-shifting or morph-style mod that allowed you to construct an assembly table and, for lack of a better word, transform into different characters from the Transformers universe. This was thrust into the spotlight a couple months later, being showcased by popular MMOs, which really put it on the map and made it the developer's most popular mod by far. And for good reason. It was incredibly fun to transform between vehicle and robot forms. It even showcased some of the iconic weaponry from the Transformers universe, leading to some really good old-fashioned fun mob slaying, to things like becoming Skystrike and being able to smoothly fly through the air. Everything was available to find and progress to in survival, adding to the overall Minecraft experience. However, after being updated just a couple times in the same version, this would be the last we would see as the mod, as it was never updated past 1.7.10. There have been many renditions of fan-made Transformers mod remakes, even up to the present day, but none will capture the charm and wackiness of the original. Getting out of the Minecraft Middle Ages and version 1.7 for a bit, the last few mods on this list are from beta Minecraft. The first being Tale of Kingdoms, an incredibly complex RPG mod first coming out in beta 1.8, or the Adventure Update, which is kind of fitting being an adventure-themed mod. It changes Minecraft so much that it almost becomes its own game. You start in a pre-built area called the Guild, where your adventure begins. It adds dozens of NPCs to the world that not only trade and sell items to the player, but are also capable of instantly building massive buildings using generative block code, or being hired to go hunting for you. After it's all said and done, the goal of the mod is to eventually become the king of your new built-up town. Some of you may remember Paul Soares Jr.'s legendary series on this mod from 2011, taking on the role of Sir Punchwood. I could honestly spend 30 minutes discussing the mod in detail, but to fit the scope of this video and forgotten mods in general, what I will say is that after Minecraft version 1.1, original developer Tiber Alex became too busy with real-life things to keep up with updating Tales of the Kingdom. Eventually, they created Tales of Kingship, a sort of remake in the Tale of Kingdoms universe for version 1.5, but after that stopped touching the Tales of the Kingdom saga for good, which is sad, as this is one that many were hoping would make it all the way through, similar to Tropicraft or Twilight Forest. And I can't stress enough how extensive this was for the time. Perhaps the most extensive beta mod ever, and I highly recommend checking out videos talking further about the legacy of Tales of the Kingdom if you're interested. The last two are definitely well remembered and known, but some of the most nostalgic nevertheless. Starting with Clay Soldiers, a pretty simple mod that you could spend hours sinking time into. Released all the way back in beta 1.7.3, Clay Soldiers adds these little clay dyed dudes that basically fight against other colors of little clay dyed dudes. There are accessories you can give them, things like dirt horses, or even have them build houses for you by giving them wood. This was thrust into popularity almost immediately by Captain Sparkle's iconic video on the subject, something that is personally nostalgic to me, as it's one of, if not the first mod review video I ever watched back in the day. Like, at the end, he has them all fight each other in the huge deathmatch, which, yeah, that was the fun of it. It almost turned Minecraft into a sort of battle simulator, where you could build an arena for the clay soldiers to fight in and set up any number of crazy scenarios you could think of. The original mod by Kodaichi Zero was discontinued pretty quickly, but was picked back up by developer San Andreas P and updated all the way through version 1.12, though it slowly faded into obscurity over that time and sadly was never updated again. I did find one for 1.20, but it's a shell of its former self, not even allowing you to give the clay soldiers their weapons and accessories, sadly. So if someone feels inspired by this, any developers out there, please bring this back for nostalgia's sake. Last, but absolutely not least, we have the iconic Millenaire mod, originally being released in beta 1.8. Millenaire added tons of lively villages to Minecraft, populated by brand new NPCs. The villagers will trade with you, build and upgrade buildings for you, craft new weapons and charms for you, and it even has a progression-like system where you can help out the villagers and get rewarded in return. Interestingly, as I said, this mod was released in beta 1.8, which was actually the first time we ever saw the the vanilla Minecraft village. At the time, villagers didn't exist, and villages were just empty, lifeless buildings. Millenaire not only filled that gap, but took it several steps further, even way further than the features we're given with modern Minecraft villages today. The Millenaire villages are beautiful, diverse, and filled with liveliness. Honestly, liveliness almost to the point of creepiness with the NPCs in the usual empty old Minecraft worlds, but that's probably just me. Anyway, Millenaire was last touched in version 1.12, and after some promises by the development team to upgrade to 1.16, it remains to be seen to this day. Sad, as it definitely will go down in the Minecraft modding Hall of Fame someday. Well, we've had 3 parts of Forgotten Mods. This will likely be the 3rd and final installment of the trilogy, but still, if you have any mods I didn't talk about that you remember enjoying back in the day, let me know in the comments. These types of stories are the best, and keep the memory of one of the most important games of our generation alive forever. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you're brand new, and I'll see you in the next one. Special thanks to my channel members on these signs, especially my knights Avinium, Fantic, Chris the Bear, Ponytail MC, Ferret Wolf 95, Caden TMG, Alex LG, Melon Siggy, Thomas Wellman Boyd, and Crimson, and my beloved Lord members Jake P 2013, Spalico, Alas, A Blair, Lilia Blue, Gunslinger Zach, the AB Rail Fan, Jazz This, It's Cat, Pedic, Tor Willem, and Dirty Dan.